The city of Ouagadougou pulsed with life as the curtains lifted for FESPACO 2025, the Pan-African Film and Television Festival of Ouagadougou, Africa's largest film gathering. Streets were decorated with colorful banners, cinemas filled with eager audiences, and cultural troupes paraded to the sound of drums. Filmmakers, actors, and producers from across Africa and the diaspora converged to celebrate cinema not just as an art, but as a voice of the continent. Among the notable dignitaries was Marshal Mahamat Idriss Déby Itno, the transitional president of Chad. His arrival at Ouagadougou International Airport was marked by a military guard of honor, Burkinabe traditional dancers, and cheering crowds waving both Burkinabe and Chadian flags. For Burkina Faso, his presence carried symbolic weight, two Sahelian nations grappling with insecurity, united by cultural diplomacy. At the opening ceremony, Déby stood alongside Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's leader, and other heads of state. Both leaders emphasized in their speeches that cinema was more than entertainment. It was a tool of resistance, identity, and hope. Traoré called on filmmakers to tell the stories of Africa's struggles and victories, while Déby praised FESPACO for giving voice to African youth. For Chad, this visit was also an opportunity to showcase its emerging film industry. A Chadian production, Voices of the Sahel, was among the entries competing for the Étalon de Yenenga, FESPACO's most prestigious prize. The film, directed by a young Chadian filmmaker, captured the daily resilience of people living in Lake Chad Basin communities, ravaged by both climate change and armed groups. Outside the glamorous red carpets, conversations in forums and workshops centered on how film could fight extremism, preserve cultural heritage, and inspire the next generation. In those circles, the presence of Marshal Déby was seen as both political and deeply symbolic, a Sahelian leader embracing culture as a weapon in a war often fought with guns. The sun blazed over Ouagadougou, painting the horizon in gold as the city prepared for a night like no other. Inside the packed Palais de Sports, the air was charged with anticipation. Cameramen adjusted their lenses, actors rehearsed smiles, and drummers kept a steady beat that echoed across the halls. Suddenly, the crowd rose as the announcer declared,
Son Excellence, le Maréchal Mahamat Idriss Déby Itno, président de la transition du Tchad.
The Marshal entered, dressed in his immaculate white babou and trademark turban. His step steady, his gaze sharp. At his side, Captain Ibrahim Traoré greeted him with a firm handshake, an image that would dominate headlines across Africa. But beneath the pomp and ceremony lay a different layer of intrigue. Intelligence whispered that extremist elements threatened to disrupt the festival, seeing it as a gathering of African pride and unity. For Déby, who had long battled insurgency at home, his visit was not merely cultural. It was a silent message of defiance. As the festival opened, the Chadian delegation unveiled their surprise entry, a politically charged film titled Desert Lions. It told the story of young Sahelian soldiers who abandoned despair to defend their homelands, inspired by unity rather than foreign aid. The film was a thinly veiled metaphor for the real struggles faced by Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. The audience erupted in applause, but whispers spread among journalists. Was the film an artistic creation, or a carefully timed message from Déby himself? Later that evening, Déby and Traoré held a private dinner in Ouagadougou. Beyond the cameras, they discussed not only cinema, but the deeper alliance forming among Sahel states. Rumors swirled of a cultural defense pact, where film and art would become weapons against disinformation, colonial narratives, and the psychological war that extremists waged. As the night drew on, the Marshal walked through the festival grounds unannounced, mingling with filmmakers and students. A young Burkinabe filmmaker, trembling, handed him a script titled, The Sahel Will Rise. Déby smiled, assuring him, films like yours may one day do what armies cannot, conquer minds and free spirits. But just as the festival reached its climax, tension struck. Security forces intercepted a plot to detonate explosives near the main cinema hall. The news was contained to avoid panic, but insiders knew. FESPACO 2025 had narrowly escaped becoming a target of terror. Déby, informed of the threat, insisted the festival continue, declaring, "If we stop celebrating our culture out of fear, then they have already won." The closing night glittered with stars and speeches, yet a quiet unease lingered. The festival had been a victory, but in the shadows, new challenges brewed. Both the real and fictional strands intertwine here. Marshal Déby's presence at FESPACO was both cultural and political. Yet the story does not end. The festival's message of resistance through art sets the stage for deeper alliances, unseen threats, and the next chapter in the Sahel struggle.